Welcome, gentlemen. All right, welcome to another Friday the 13th episode of the Blackbird Workshop. Let's see. There were no emailed in questions to get today's workshop started, so hopefully that's not an omen of Friday the 13th, but we'll find out, right? So what that means is it's up to you guys to throw the first question into the Q&A window there for me, and that will get the workshop started. And let's see, I might just take a look at the names in the room, and I do recognize all the names here. Um, yeah, I do recognize all the names, so I won't ask about the workshop introduction there. So, um, and let's see, anything else to mention? Um, no, no, things are just humming along as normal. So, actually, I guess I'll mention one more. I'll mention something here one more time. So this was mentioned last week, but there is an update that was released last week for Blackbird and Raven, both of the strategies there. So to get there, you can just go to support and to download installer there. So let me open that up in a new tab. There we go. All right, so on the installer page there, just scroll down to step 2, and there we go. So we're on 6.8 now. So if you're ever curious, I know people love reading the change logs and release notes there, but we do have a change logs page here. All right, so we can read that. And there we go. If we open this up, and essentially it's just there it is, just a simple correction to another NinjaTrader update that was made where the flags weren't visible when you were changing the price, when you were moving a order flag. You didn't actually see that flag kind of drag up and down with your mouse there. So that's, which, yeah, nothing major, but it is kind of nice to see that flag actually moving when you move your cursor there. So that's been resolved there. So that's all it was. Yeah. So, all right. Well, again, gentlemen, I'm just waiting for the first Blackbird questions to come in here, and that will actually get the workshop started. All right. So for now, I'm just going to mute my microphone, and if I see new people popping into the room, then I'll just announce what I'm waiting for again for the new people. All right. So again, don't be shy. If you have any minor kind of, seemingly insignificant questions for Blackbird, go ahead, throw it into the Q&A window. Get yourself some answers here. That's what you're here for. All right, looks like Doug has a question here. Great. At least I got something to do. Let's see. Hmm. All right, so Doug, yeah, there is one thing here that's technically incorrect, which is the profit target. So, so I'm assuming that these here, yeah, I'm assuming everything you wrote is for a long trade. So, because you're putting the stop loss at the Donchian channel, uh, lower channel line. So, therefore, I'm assuming the profit target using the max of the low price moving up, that would put the profit target below the market, right? So it would close out the trade anyways. Um, yeah, so the max and the min is not going to calculate a price above the market, right? It's going to be using historical data, which in theory, um, if you're taking a long trade, right, that's going to be with the market moving up. Um, I think, unless this is a counter trend system, which I don't remember it being a counter trend system here. Yeah, so, anyways, um, yeah, so if you could just kind of confirm that the max indicator will actually generate a price above the market for the profit target. And then while you're doing that, I'll add everything here to the chart. All right, so let's get this. Let's see, this is a 30-second chart. Oh, 30 range. All right, just to speed things up, I'm just gonna go with a 30-second chart so we don't have to wait so long. All right, there we go. So, and let's get that Donchian channel on here. All right, going with the 11 period. Yep. Okay. And all right, got the channel lines. There we go. Great. So, and all right, so let's get Blackbird open and get or start to start to tackle our first question. All right, so first thing here, let's load in the Bloodhound system from yesterday. All right, so let's open up the template file there for Bloodhound. There. All right, so there's yesterday's workshop file. And all right, so there's our entry signals there. Looking for the lows to go higher. And if we wanted to, we could put the exit in there as well. I'll just go ahead and throw it in there for good measure right now. But I'll just turn it off for now. All right. So now let's set up our order sets. So, all right, no mention of an entry orders. So we'll just go with market entries. And yeah, all right. Now, actually, now let me work on the stop loss first here. And let's see if I actually have a Dacian channel for the quick list. Nope, doesn't look like it. All right, so let's go with a custom stop loss. There. All right, get that open. Go into initial placement. There, switch the mode over to an indicator value. All right, and then go into the indicator list and find our Dacian channel. There we go. All right, plug in that 11 period. And for the stop loss, lower channel for a long trade, upper channel for a short trade. All right, pretty straightforward there. And let's see. Also, I need to know when does the stop loss, what triggers the stop loss movement to break even? So, let's see here. All right, so moving up, moving up. Excuse me. I already have a frog in my throat. Just a minute. Let me try and get this out. All right. Sorry about the delay. I left my water in the break room. Let's see here. All right. So moving on to another component here. So yeah, the exit is when the highest low is broken by the next generating a low. Yeah, so that was the exit signal built yesterday. So we do actually have that exit condition there built into um, Bloodhound there. So, although, yeah, I gotta admit the um, name of the logic template is incorrect. I just put exit in front of the entry name. So, but just have to be mindful of that there. All right, so that exit is in place. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. So the break even occurs when we have 10 ticks of profit. Okay. All right, so let's go into the stop loss, go to the trailing actions there. All right, enable the trailing actions there by setting it to custom, right? Because we're just going to make a custom break even. All right, hit the trailing rolls there. And all right, so it's a break even +2 at 10 ticks. All right, so let's go into the trigger here. And easiest way to do this is we could use the interval, right? Or we could use the profit or loss. I'll just go with the interval. It's a little quicker to set up. And we'll enable the bottom option here and look for ticks of movement. And it's already defaulted to 10 ticks there. So there we go. That's our move to break even trigger, is once there's a profit of 10 ticks. So, all right, so the action, right, is we're gonna move our stop loss order, move it to not the last price, but the entry price, and then we'll add the +2. So there's our +2 right there. All right, there is our break even. And let's see here. Yeah, so Doug is commenting, I have a 30-second chart. Yeah, I said I deliberately went with the 30-second chart, just so we wouldn't have to wait an entire minute. So that way time goes by faster. So, let's see here. All right, well, so I'm gonna put in this second contract with the profit target here. Let's see here. All right, so the first contract is just a simple 10 tick target, exit at 10 ticks. All right. So, all right, let's go to the options. And so I just used the quick list to pick a 20 tick target there. So now I'm just going to go in and knock this down to 10, like so. All right, piece of cake. Now moving on to the second contract here. So let's just make a copy of A there. And all right, so for the target here, all right, so I'm going to put this in so that you can see that using the max is not going to generate a valid target there. All right, so let's go into the initial placements and let's switch this over to an indicator. Go into the indicators. All right, so profit target at the max of the low price is moving up. Yeah, all right, so let's do a little search for the max indicator. All right, so there's the max, and I think in the Bloodhound logic, I just went with a period of 5. So I'll do the same here. All right, and so now let's feed in those low prices into the max indicator. So let's hit the, actually, let's see, let's get rid of that search. And now go into Shark Indicators, go into the Tools folder, and there's Chameleon. Remember, a single click, just a single click there. And then we can hit the nested button, And there we go. All right, so there's Chameleon. And now let's feed the low price there into that. Now, yeah, here's where things kind of break down. Well, actually, no, they don't, because that's right. The entry signals only generate a long trade. But if, actually, I'm going to have to double check on that. So actually, well, yeah, once I reload the chart so that NinjaTrader loads in Bloodhound for Blackbird, we'll see if I left the Bloodhound entry signals to generate a long and a short together, right? But so the point I'm making here is if this system was to trade short signals, right? Obviously, you can't use the max, right, for setting the profit targets, right? So this means this only works for taking long trades because the max indicator, right, isn't a dual purpose. You would need a new indicator called max and min that can do both functions there, right? So that way, a min calculation could be used for short trades, right? Analyzing the high prices there, right? So yeah, just be mindful because the max only works for long trades there. So, all right. So let's, we have that set up, and let's take out the tick offset there. All right. So remember, there was 10 ticks in here because it was a copy of A, and A was set to 10 ticks. All right, so there's our max indicator being used for the profit target. And all right, that should do it. Let's click OK. And now we need to reload the chart so NinjaTrader can spin up Bloodhound there. So reload. And good. There are only long signals. All right. So we're doing fine. And all right, let's turn on the auto trade. And we'll see what happens. And there we have it. Yeah, so we can see basically the profit target for B, surprisingly, was right there, yeah, at the entry. Oh, yeah, okay. And the reason why the profit target is one tick above the entry price, right, instead of down here, right, because taking the max of the low prices should have set the profit target down here somewhere, right? But the reason why that profit target wasn't placed down there was because of the safeguards built into the order sets here, right? So if you click on the little gear icon, right, the settings here for this order set, right, you can see there are placement safeguards in place. And so there is a minimum profit target distance enabled by default, right? So this creates a minimum one tick profit target in the correct direction. Now, if I disable this there, and we can see we have a minimum one tick stop loss also in there as well, enabled by default. So if I disable the profit target there, click OK, and then let's see if we get, if we're lucky, let's see, no, that low is lower than that low. All right, yeah, it might take a couple of bars before we get another entry signal. Well, no, looks like we need to have a little bit of a pullback in the market. Actually, let's see if we have a signal coming up here. Yeah, it looks like we're gonna have a couple of minutes of waiting here before the market moves back up and generates another entry signal. There. So, but we did get that exit signal here as expected, right? Because we did make a lower low. So. Well, all right. So while we're waiting on this here, um, let's go revisit our second profit target here using the max indicator. Okay. So something that might work once in a while, right? Technically, this will never work, but what might work once in a while is if we go into Chameleon and instead of using the low price, let's use the high price, right? And if we're lucky, we might end up with some bars. Well, right there, this bar with this long signal, that wouldn't work, right? Obviously, that's the maximum high. So your target's just going to get filled instantly. But if you entered a trade on a bar like this, right, we have a high way up there, right, and the entry is way down here. So that would work in those cases. So, all right, we got that little change and good. Looks like we're on our way to start generating some more long entry signals. Oh, and let's click OK. There we go. Don't forget. You got to click OK for all those changes to be accepted there by Blackbird or to be acknowledged. Well, almost. We need to break this low here. All right, come on, market. Stay up there. All right, with any luck, this bar will generate a long signal. All right, and it looks like we'll get a target up here at this high. Excellent. Let's see. Oh, actually, we have a target up there. Oh, all right. Yep, looks like my period for the max there was left at 14. Okay. Yep, that's fine. All right. So there we go. Using a longer, a higher period for the max indicator there. Will definitely help generate a better profit target there versus using that 5 period as previous there. Okay, so there, cancel that there, and let's see. Yeah, we did have our stop loss move up there to break even +2. All right, there we have it. All right. Well, if there are any further questions on this, let me know. Or if somebody has a new question, let me know. Any questions you got for Blackbird, let me know. So, well, let's see. So we're at the 40-minute mark. Um, and yeah, today's seemed to be a little slow. So I'm gonna start the timer here, and I'll hang around at least until the 50-minute mark. All right, the 50-minute mark. So basically another 9 minutes or so. All right. So yeah. So if I don't see any more questions by then I'll just assume we're done and wrap it up early and get some other clerical work done there. All right. But again, gentlemen, as long as the questions keep coming in, the workshop will stay open to get everybody's questions answered here. All right. But yeah, if I don't see any more questions in the next 8 minutes or so, then we'll, by the time we get to the 50-minute mark, then I'll wrap it up. All right. So in the meantime, guys, I will mute my microphone. Although, let's see. Um, let's see. Looks like Doug has a question or comment. Yeah, so in the strategies tab, correct. Yeah, so Doug is asking, why is it showing a negative um, 95? Well, now it's negative 510. Yeah, so this is um, the realized here is a running total since the last time the strategy was restarted. All right. So if you want more detailed information on, how these values are calculated there, yeah, you should check with NinjaTrader support, and they can help you understand how these are calculated there. So, yeah. So Blackbird itself does maintain its own running total for the day. Yeah. So Blackbird will track. Um, it'll track all of its prior trades. So if you ever do anything that causes the chart to reload, right? Strategies lose all their P&L data, right? They lose all their P&L data if anything causes the chart to reload. But Blackbird does have a very simple tracking mechanism. So it'll track these metrics and only these metrics. So it doesn't track all of NinjaTrader's statistical data there, only the core ones there. So that way, when Blackbird restarts any time during the day, if it finds this file, if it finds a file with this data, it'll load it up and then add it, and then it'll add it, to this P&L data here that NinjaTrader is tracking in the strategies tab there. There. All right, looks like we have some more questions. Let's see here. All right. Yeah. So John is asking, yeah, can I demonstrate how a long trade could be exited at a level from the Camarillo pivot indicator? I'm assuming. Yeah, I think that's what you mean by the cam pivot. Um, Interesting idea there, John. Um, yeah, let's see here. All right, so I'm going to take this out of order here, which I usually don't do. So John is asking, second question: can Blackbird send a webhook? Simple answer is no. No, it can't. Um, but yeah, who knows? Maybe in the future, now that we're developing shark signals, which it takes webhooks, and actually there will be a NinjaTrader client, what we're just calling a simple NT client that can it'll receive webhooks, not send them, but receive webhooks, and then transfer those signals directly to Blackbird. So that way, um, essentially, there will be so there will be another way for Blackbird to receive entry signals or trade signals, right? So it's not going to be in here. It's uh, a separate um, app, a separate program that communicates directly with Blackbird. But yeah, for now, no, there's no way to send a webhook. The workaround, well, actually, it's not a workaround. NinjaTrader's solution was to send an email. So, right, NinjaTrader, if you go in and somewhere in here, it's been so long, somewhere in here, you can set up the email service within NinjaTrader. And it has been so long. I, yeah, email log alerts. Where is the email setup? There we go. So yeah, you can send it. Oh, great! You can even send a text message now through NinjaTrader via email. Yeah. So you got to get this share service set up correctly in NinjaTrader first, right? Then in Blackbird, you can go to alerts. Actually, I should have answered this last. So I thought this was just going to be a simple no question for the webhook. Um, but in any case, so under alerts here, we can enable alerts, and then you can enable whatever aspect of the trade you want to do here. So you can enable when an entry signal occurs there, and select email. All right, there you go. And that email uses the NinjaTrader email service. So, right, do that and active position there. So, right, and just use the email service there. Um, yeah. So there's multiple ways you could post to the alerts window, and as I kind of showed earlier, NinjaTrader now will forward those alerts in the alerts window to an email or to a text. So this is really kind of a uh, going through multiple steps to do that. But yeah, there's multiple ways there to do that now. So, and when you send an email, also let's see here the message. We open that up. There are some placeholders here which Dang, that blue is pretty hard to read, isn't it? But you can see there's all of these placeholders that get filled in there. So you can create yourself a custom message there. Yeah. All right, there you go. Let's disable all that. All right, so yeah, so no webhooks, but you can use NinjaTrader's email service there to email to a text message or something like that. So let's see here. All right, so I got that question out of the way. And here we go. So, all right. So actually we have a follow-up question on the alerts there. Yeah, so if you select play sound, where do the sound files reside? Anywhere you want. So Blackbird doesn't care where you put them. So yep. So yeah, so the follow-up here is, yeah, can you put all your sound files in a custom folder? Yes, you can. Yep. Yep. NinjaTrader itself actually has a sound file folder, right? So if you go to, again, settings, right, all of these sound files are centrally located. So you might want to use that there. Again, I'm not going to get too far into the weeds with this because this is NinjaTrader support stuff here. But if you go to, let's see, go to your C drive and program files, I believe, program files. There you go, NinjaTrader 8. And sounds, there you go, right there in the NinjaTrader program files, NinjaTrader 8 sounds. And there you go. There's all the sound files there. And that's even where Blackbird, the Shark Indicators installer drops. Actually, no. Where are the Blackbird files? There we go. Yeah. So the Shark Indicators installer drops the Blackbird sound files in there as well. And yeah, I think these are from Lizard Trader. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, just remember program files, NinjaTrader 8 sounds, but Blackbird doesn't Blackbird doesn't care where those sound files are. So we can go to alerts, enable there, and switch this over to play sound. All right, sound file. Click on the ellipses button there. And yeah, so it defaults to the program files, sound directory, but you can go to, let's see, yeah, you can go to your, documents, NinjaTrader 8, and, whatever file, whatever folder you want to put those sound files in. Yeah, Blackbird doesn't care. Let's see if there's anything under bin. No, doesn't look like it. So, yeah. So, yeah. So there you go. You since you're opening within Blackbird, since you're opening a dialog window, right? A open file dialog window, that means you can put those sound files anywhere you want on your hard drive. Okay, so there is that follow-up question. All right, let me get back to the top here. All right, so John's first question. Actually, let me clear this out here. All right, so John's first question. Yeah, that's right. So for a long trade, take an exit at one of the levels from the Camarillo pivots indicator. All right. All right, so I'm just going to go make another order set here. Yeah. So whether you wanted it to be a profit target or a stop loss, here, let's open this up. And we're just going to go with custom here. All right. And then on the options tab, we're going to open up the initial placement. Open that up. And you can see the mode is set to price, right? So if you open this up, those are all just bar prices there, right? The entry price, right? That nature. So we need to change the mode to indicator since you want to use the indicator. All right. Now, you'll see the max is already preset in here, right? Because we used the max previously for Doug's earlier question there. So that's just a little time saver there. So, but let's open that up there. And let's see. There we go. There's the Camarilla pivots. Now, the one thing about using a pivots indicator, right, is you have to select these hard-coded lines there. So Blackbird's not going to automatically decide which one you should be using, right? So keep in mind when you select a pivot line, so let's see here, we'll do R1 for a long trade and S1 for a short trade there, like so. All right. And right, those are permanent. So if the market, is trading above R1, then you do have to go in here and tell Blackbird, all right, we need to trade R2. So you will have to physically make that change yourself, right? Blackbird's not going to make those decisions for you. So just be mindful of that when you're using these pivots indicators there. So, yeah. So, but there we go. All right. And, it'd be the reverse for a stop loss. All right. So we can open up the stop loss, go to the initial placement there, and again, set the mode to indicator value. And there we go. The Camarilla indicator is already set in there for us since we just used it previously. Open it up. And of course, for a stop loss, we'd be switching our plots here. So S1 for longs and R1 for shorts, for example, like so. And there you go. There. All right, so it looks like, yep, John gets it, has his answer, great. So I'm gonna go ahead and clear this out there. All right, and let's clear that question out. All right, one last question left here. So before I answer this, let me just remind you guys, if you have any more questions, now would be a great time to start typing those questions in the Q&A window there for me. So let's see, what does Doug have? Yeah, so Doug, what do you mean get a breakdown, details? NinjaTrader has details. You can go to the executions tab, and there you go. It's all laid out. Blackbird doesn't do any of that, you know, because NinjaTrader, yeah, provides the executions there. So, you know, and you have the orders tab there. So you have a breakdown of all that there from NinjaTrader. So yeah, Blackbird doesn't catalog and log all that data. We don't want to overload it, you know, with clerical work, especially when NinjaTrader already is tracking all that stuff internally. So, you know, doing double the work is just uh, wasting CPU resources. Yeah. So we're not going to have Blackbird duplicate what NinjaTrader's already doing there. Yeah. So now, so if you want a more detailed answer there, Doug, I would send you over to NinjaTrader support, and they can help you understand, you know, the orders tab and the executions tab there. You know, and the same thing here. Let me cancel that. And same thing if you pull up the strategy performance report. Let's see here. Let's do both historical and real time. Right, the strategy performance report has all kinds of data in it as well. So again, you know, for more detailed information on reading this, I'm going to send you to NinjaTrader support, and they can help you understand exactly everything that's in this report there. Let's see here. One thing to note. So going back to an earlier question, yeah, I'm just trying to think to myself before I start talking here. I'm trying to figure out like what trade is causing this $50 difference. Yeah, we can see there's a $50 difference between what the strategy performance is showing, you know, versus what the control center is showing. Um, yeah, I don't know because I wasn't watching all these trades here, but clearly we can see that the strategy performance has an extra trade in it somewhere um, than the control center has. Yeah. So, anyways, just what I wanted to point out is um, that the strategy performance report does quite often differ from what you see from the control center. So just know that is normal with NinjaTrader. As as far as why, again, I'm going to defer you to NinjaTrader support as to why that happens. So, um, you know, it's been so long that even yeah, I would have to dig into NinjaTrader's documentation to remind myself as to why that is. Yeah, there are several situations where the P&L in the control center versus the P&L in the performance report will differ. But what I can do is, because that is a common question for people who use strategies with NinjaTrader, we do actually have links to NinjaTrader's documentation. So if we go to any of the documentation pages here, so I'll just go to support documentation, and then let's go to Blackbird. So on the introductory page here for Blackbird, scroll down to the table of contents, and there you go. NinjaTrader strategy help. Boom. So yeah, so we provided a bunch of links here, so to save you guys some time there. Data feed disconnects, and let's see. I think it's this one. Discrepancies. No, it's not that one. Actually, no, I guess maybe there isn't. It might be in this one here. Strategy position versus account position. I think the answer to why there's a discrepancy is it's in one of these here. Yeah, so it looks like you would have to go to Ninja support so they could point you to the, which part of their documentation explains what kind of situations can make the strategy performance report differ from the control center. All right, so again, that's at the very bottom of the page here for the introduction. And actually, let me try something else. I did both historical. There shouldn't be any historical trades, but let's just do real time only. There we go. They do match up now. Oh, interesting. So NinjaTrader did log a historical trade somewhere. Okay, well, there you go. That explains it. Yeah. All right. Well, looks like that's it for that round of questions. All right, gentlemen. So I'm ready for the next round of questions. So, yeah, again, all those, seemingly minor questions are exactly what this workshop is for. So if you got anything else on your mind, throw it into the Q&A window there and I'll get it answered for you. Let's see. So we are just past the 1 hour mark. So, all right, not too bad. So again, I'll start the timer and, for at least 10 minutes or so, make sure everybody has plenty of time to think of some questions and get them in. All right. And so if I don't see any questions within the next 10 minutes or so, then yeah, I'll assume we're done for the day. This is so strange. I don't know what to make of the Zoom microphone settings here. All right, so I just turned my microphone way up from 3% up to 90%. So let me know if my audio is okay, if you would mind, please. So let's see here. Doug says, thanks for your patience. No, that's exactly what this workshop's for. So, yeah. And so while I don't, while Shark Indicators doesn't actually provide NinjaTrader support, we at least want to point you guys in the right direction, to keep you moving, even though we don't get into the heavier details of answering NinjaTrader based type questions, but yeah, we do want to at least point you in the right direction there. So no problem. So, yeah. Um, it's booming now. All right. Yeah, I guess I don't know why, but Zoom is always dropping my microphone, even though I have automatically adjust disabled. Man, hopefully Zoom will fix. Well, it's been that way for years, so maybe Zoom won't ever fix it. But I will try and get in the habit of checking that every single time now, every day. So that does seem to be a big problem. All right. So sorry if I blew anybody's speakers out. So yeah, I hate it when that happens. You crank your volume way up because you can't hear somebody, and then they fix their microphone, and then it breaks your speakers. So I'm sorry about that. All right, again, gentlemen, not to get off topic here too much, but yeah, I am ready for the next round of Blackbird questions there. So now that I've fixed my microphone volume, I am now going to mute my microphone while I wait for the next round of questions here, guys. All right. So you got at least another 9 minutes or so to think of some more questions and throw them my way. And yeah, just for fun, I'll leave this system here going on Blackbird for entertainment value. So, all right, guys. So yeah, if you have some more questions, throw them in the Q&A window there for me. All right, gentlemen, just about 3 more minutes remaining until I hit that 10-minute timer mark. All right, so just want to make sure. So if you got more questions, not a problem. Just get them in there, and I'll keep the workshop open, as long as necessary to get everybody's questions answered here. But yeah, if I don't see any more questions in the next 3 minutes or so, then we'll call it. Yeah, we'll wrap up the workshop here and try and get through this Friday the 13th as quickly as possible. All right, guys. Again, I'm just going to mute my microphone until the next question comes in here. I did think of something here as I was watching, just watching a couple of these signals play out here with the stop losses and everything moving to break even. Yeah, I did think of one thing here, right? Which is, right, our stop losses move to break even basically when this first profit target's hit, right? 10 tick profit target, all right, and the stop loss here has a break even at 10 ticks there. And, because of the way the question was phrased, I just put in, the trigger I use, I just put in, wait for 10 ticks of movement here. So another way that we could do this, and quite often another way people will phrase this is, let's move the stop loss to break even once the first target is filled, right? So I can actually change from interval to order status changed here, and I can select the stop loss here, the profit target. Select the profit target for A, right? So once this 10 tick profit target is not placed, but we want to know when it's filled. There we go. So once that target is filled, then that is the triggering mechanism or condition that then moves the stop loss to break even there. Right. Now, there is a ever so subtle technical difference, right? Which, for all intents and purposes, if the market moves to 10 ticks, right, chances are your target's going to get filled. But every once in a while, there could be enough orders in front of your target where you don't actually get filled. And so, you're going to ask yourself, well, do I actually want to wait for that target to get filled before moving the stop loss? In that case, using the order status change would be the way to go. But yeah, if you are worried that maybe the market gets up there, doesn't fill you, but then pulls back, and you do want to make sure that your stop loss is moved to break even +2, then using that interval is the better way to do it. So yeah, so the interval will move your stop loss to break even regardless of whether your profit target's filled or not. So yeah. Doug is asking, will this Blackbird file be available? No, Doug, I don't save out these really simple ones. This was so extremely easy to build there that yeah, I don't save them out. So the best way to learn is to just build it out yourself. And since Blackbird is so much easier to build stuff out, I only save out files that are extremely complicated and usually have multiple order sets there. But this one is extremely easy, right? So again, I'm sure, Doug, that you know by now how to set up your Bloodhound entry signals and exit signals there, right? And as we discussed, really using this max indicator for your profit target, right, doesn't really work out. Sometimes it does, but half the times it's not going to work out there. But in any case, really easy, right, to set up that max indicator if you do want to use that there, right? Max, and just remember you're going to nest just like with Bloodhound. You have to use Chameleon to grab the high price or the low price and feed it into the max indicator, right? That's pretty straightforward. And then for the stop losses, right, that's straightforward as well, right? So just load in the Donchian channel, right? Remember to set the mode to indicator, and then set up your Donchian channel, and right, lower channel for long trades, upper channel for short trades. Although there's no short trades, but still, it's always good to just set things correctly anyways for the short trade, even though there is no short trade, just to get in that habit, right? Just kind of muscle memory, right? And then the trailing, yeah, the break even there, again, pretty simple. Do you want to use the order status changed, wait for that target to get filled, or do you want to use the interval, which again, just enable the ticks of movement, and there you go, it's already set to 10 ticks, so you're good to go. So, all right, and then the action, right, the action is the price is the entry price, and then your 2 ticks, a positive 2 ticks, right, above the entry price, and that's break even. And there you go. So pretty straightforward. Yeah. So, and I guess just a little side note here. I mean, it doesn't hurt, but after seeing both order set A and B, it should be apparent that the stop loss here, this break even trailing rule for the stop loss of A, obviously is not necessary. So didn't really need that, but you can leave it in there. It's not doing any harm there, but we could remove it, and therefore, it's not really just necessary. So yeah. All right, let's see here. Well, all right, so it's actually 26 after, and I haven't seen any new Blackbird questions in over 15 minutes now. So, all right, so with that, gentlemen, I'm gonna wrap it up. Unless, let me see what else Doug has here. Just a moment. Oh, yeah, of course, Doug, you bet, absolutely. So that's what these workshops are all about, is getting all that information out there on how to use Bloodhound and Blackbird. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, all right. I hope your Friday the 13th goes well today. And with that, just a reminder, as always, you can always email your questions in for these workshops. So if you thought of a question over the weekend and you didn't want to forget it, throw it into an email there for me, and fire it off. And just in the subject line of your email, it's very helpful if you put in workshop question, something like that. Let us know what your intention is. So, and then Mike will save your email for me when the next workshop rolls around. Right. And as always, the benefit of emailing a question is you can attach a chart here with notations on it to help explain, your idea. So those are always handy, helpful for me, and for anybody else that you might be trying to explain your idea to. So, yeah. All right. With that, gentlemen, have a good rest of your Friday and a good weekend. And I'll see you around next week. All right. Bye-bye, guys.